Hola y bienvenidos a todo to the Polynesian Eyes podcast. This is Tua coming in live from South Central Texas. And we have Mr. Atearoa joining us from Auckland, New Zealand. How are things in the land of the long white cloud, Mr. Atearoa?
Pretty hot today, Tua. Pretty hot today.
Oh,
It's a Saturday here in New Zealand. I think it's just a bit hot because there's actually no kind of breeze or wind that's kind of blowing by. But at the same time, I'm not gonna complain. This hot is not close to the Tonga hot that I was in Tonga about a couple months ago. So I'll take this. I'll still take it.
it
But
could
it's
always be worse. It could
yes,
always be worse.
yes. So far so good. Saturday, nothing really going on. Today was more a relaxed day. I was thinking of doing some cleaning some vehicles to be somewhat productive and just pull some weeds, but today was more of a chillax kind of day.
Hey,
So
that's my kind of day.
yeah, so that's me. I don't know any more snow. Did any more snow
No,
fall in your guys' way?
no, thank goodness. But I was in Michigan this week
Okay.
and it was cold and there was snow there. Uh,
Yeah.
I flew up to Michigan this week for a meeting. Thank goodness I didn't have to stay there too long because I was dying to come back to 70s. It's at the 70s here in
Mm.
Texas. It's been beautiful the last few days. These are the type of days during winter, especially when I travel for work, that I'm like, this is why I live in Texas. This is why I
Yeah.
live in warm weather because I don't want to deal with the snow that's all over the place.
Nice.
So pretty good, pretty
Nice.
good. Um, I had a quick question I meant to ask you, Masi, because this is something I want to. Hopefully, we can get to in the near future. Seems to be some drama in the politics going on in Samoa lately.
Yes.
Not sure.
Yes.
Seems like I saw one article said that PM had a picture of Christ removed, and then there's also fighting maybe in the internal party of the
Mm.
PM, and like some people try to take it to the courts, and the court said that's an internal party issue, not a government or legal issue. But what's kind of your understanding of what's going on over there?
So my understanding, I follow Samoan politics here and there, not heavily, but I still keep an ear out because lived there for a couple years. Um, Fiame, who is the prime minister of who's the prime minister of Samoa at the moment, she was elected as
Woman,
prime
right?
minister.
First woman.
Yes, first woman to the prime minister position in Samoa. So she got there by she used to be under Tuila Epa. You know Tuila Epa Tua. He's kind of his party that they're called the HRPP. They're like the human rights something, but that's like the
Mm.
common acronym for that party. She used to be that party. Then she went to this new party for it's called FAST, and then she was that new party got the majority. She was selected to go into by the party to go become the prime minister.
And
First
there
woman
was
to
like
become
some drama when she became prime minister because the old
correct.
PM said he wasn't going to leave or
Or
something
it was
like
just
that.
wanted to challenge some courts, and then he wouldn't give the keys and stuff. So there's some little stuff scuffle here and there. So and then right now they still got about this year left, and then their elections for Samoa is next year. But there is a fallout with the chair of the party of the fast that Fiame, the prime minister, is currently representing, and herself.
Mm.
Apparently, you know, he's been charged with charged with criminal activity, and he's due to go to court. And Prime Minister Fiame asked him to either resign or just give up your position to the or
Move
I'll
on.
fire you on. But with the whole politics, even when you're charged, you just don't know if it's a political thing that's
Yeah.
kind of going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the challenger to the chair, whose name is La'auri, he gonna go refer is commonly referred to. He said, "No, I'm not gonna resign. This is some political uh, actions that are going against me, just let it play through. I'll just still hold my minister.
Yeah, it's political, not legal.
Yes, it's a political thing, so let me just ride it through. And Fiamme didn't like that, so she removed him. But he's the one. He's the chair of the party that Fiamme represents, and he still got a few. I think Fiamme only has like 5 people who are loyal to her. The rest of the party members are loyal to the Laudi guy who's the chair. They all decide to remove Fiamme, so now she has no party. And apparently, in Samoa's
Constitution.
constitution, states that you need to be in a party to be in government or be in parliament.
So is she
And
going to
now that
create her own party or something or what?
create her own parties, there's news that came out that she's been having private meetings with Tuila Epa and the
To try
opposition
and do a
to
coalition?
maybe do a coalition or something. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at. But when you told me they removed the picture of Christ, I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why Fiamme did that, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
mean, you know
I don't
how it
know.
is. I didn't read the whole article. I just read the
Okay.
headline, and the
Yeah.
it could be just an accusation, right? When you
Okay.
get
Okay.
political just to try and
Yes.
score some easy points to be like, look, she doesn't even believe in Jesus or
Yes.
something like that. So,
So it's one of those things too. Like, so you need to be in a party, but then in the parliament rules, the prime minister can only be removed by the people who are in parliament. So it's kind of
mm,
like a funky situation. So yeah, Samoa is going through that at the moment. So
okay. So it's kind of like new ground. Maybe they might have to come up with new processes and stuff to address if future situations like that, but seems to be new ground for our
yes,
Ha'amoa brothers and sisters.
yes, or a snap election, but that can be a
Mm,
bit difficult. But I don't think,
yeah,
from what I'm reading, both sides or many people in parliament do not want a snap election. So
yeah, because it's just kind of like hectic,
a lot of
you know.
resources that are gonna go. It's very time consuming
Yeah. Okay.
and resource wasting. So
I
yeah,
just thought I'd ask that question just because I have seen it and I thought, oh, this, and I saved like one of the articles was that article about her supposedly or being accused of removing a picture
yep.
of Jesus from like Parliament and then, interviewing
She's
maybe,
angry. She's angry, blaming it on Jesus. The picture of
yeah,
Jesus.
somebody's got to be blamed. And then I saw a video maybe of that Lauri guy kind of
Yeah.
saying how he was kind of unfairly treated and that's
Mm.
why blah blah blah. I don't know. So
No,
we
and
were
that's the thing
gonna
about
spend an episode on that.
yes, and that's the thing about his case. He's been charged before, and he's been in government, and he's had all the charges dropped when he went through it.
Dropped.
So it you gotta. If I was in Fiame's position, I would have just write it out because he has been done wrong before, and this could be another uh, you know, political
Yeah.
accusation
Just
that's
a
gonna go after him.
strategy from the
Eo,
opposition or whoever.
Eo. So it's just
Okay.
politics. Politics is a very interesting game. That, like what
Mm.
Trump said, it's the most bloodiest game or
Yeah.
bloodiest sport
It's
in any
ruthless.
sport. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ruthless because it doesn't just come against you, it'll come against your friends, your family,
Mm,
anyone. It's a
mm.
very, very, like you said, bloodthirsty sport, man. It's a blood sport.
Yep.
Okay, Malo, Masi for kind of answering that curiosity question. Today, the meat of our program, which was the decision as of about like maybe 45 minutes ago,
Mm.
due to some interactions online, talking back and forth with a bunch of our brothers and sisters from Ha'amoa, once again discussing where is Tangaloa from, is Aho'eitu Samoan, what are our origins, and talking through that history. Um, and really, this is why it's kind of like our creation account.
Yeah.
The beginning is very important. The beginning sets the context for everything else that comes downstream. This is why
Mm.
um, Tangaloa is such a controversial discussion. This is why Aho'eitu and the Tu'imanua, everything is coming back to a discussion on the origins of Tonga and Ha'amoa because why? Everyone knows it's somewhere in there,
Mm.
the Polynesian empire, the culture and the people, the language, the religion that we know to be Polynesian originated from somewhere there,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
why there's heavy discussion on it. We get a lot of accusations from and some from people. Let me just share here, and maybe we'll skim through
Let's
some of the
go.
comments. We get accused of, why are you guys just hating on Samoa, on Ha'amoa? And
Mhm.
I want to say, it's not that we're hating, is we're trying to fight a narrative. And the current narrative is Ha'amoa is the origin. Tangaloa was from Ha'amoa, and that Aho'eitu um, came from there.
Mm.
So, and then there was also a debate on one of our articles. Remember that one on the Pule Malay,
Yes.
with with that whole presentation, and one of the Samoan professors talks about how they've tracked some of the DNA, and at some point foreign DNA was introduced, and it was his
Mhm.
opinion
Yeah.
that was
Mhm.
Tangaloa DNA being introduced into the population. So
Mm.
let me see. Like I said, this is all the activity that
Wow.
resulted in
Lot
us.
of lot of interest in this segment right here, huh?
Yes.
This.
So maybe let's do this first. Let's maybe watch the short
Okay.
real quick and see what the driver is behind some of this.
And from my knowledge, Tua Manua still uses the multiple legs because that
That's the
resembles their
Samoan
knowledge
Kamabo. Yes.
of their house, the Samoan Fale. So
Yes.
that's another reason why it most likely didn't come from Manua. It's really in Tonga. I think right there, Tua, that Kumete kind of. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I'm trying to find, I think there's a specific article that goes over that.
Okay.
So that's where a lot of the comments were being driven from. Um I'm trying to see. And so, like here, it says the Faleula was the first Fale Samoa, the royal crimson house of the Tu'imanua, later gifted to the Malietoa family. Or tradition says that it was convened by the Sa Tangaloa in Manua, a house that was built to reflect the heavens. So, you know how we make the
Mm,
argument, the Tongan Taumafakawa is more
correct.
sophisticated, and
Correct.
that the Tu'imanua
Seating
or the
arrangements. Yeah.
Kava is more on the house, the Samoan Fale.
Correct.
So they're trying to make the argument that the Fale is a reflection of the heavens.
The heavens.
You understand the structuring, it really doesn't, the seating and the structure doesn't reflect the heavens itself.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I'm trying to see. So that was one video, and then there was
yeah.
one other one. Um,
Sure.
we'll pause this. Uncle Trump's press secretary.
New press secretary. No, because that's interesting too. With the Satang law that person was commenting that it reflects the heavens. See, and that's the thing. When we talk about sophisticated, there's really no details. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Mhm.
what parts of the heavens does that reflect? Right? Because
Yeah,
I we can go in our episode. We go to the very detail to the equator, to the positions of
tropics.
the
Yeah,
tropics, right? And then we even go to the
rising and setting of the
constellations,
sun, the
right? And setting of
constellations.
the constellation. So like that's the detail, like reflection of signs. That's very broad, and hopefully that viewer can or that person that did that comment can go like to the details, like how does it reflect the heavens? Because what we see and what we that's been passed around, the tanoa or the kumete, right, is the multiple legs reflects the multiple poles that holds up a roof of a
Yeah,
ha'amoa fare.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And
That's just my thoughts there too. I don't.
then gotta
Yeah,
remember,
my thing.
no, 100% agreed there. And then here's the other video. There were two videos that drove a lot of the conversation just before we came online. Here's
Yeah.
the other one. Remember, there was no Samoa. There was the Polynesian Empire, the Tuitonga Empire.
Yeah.
So the idea of snitching and playing double agent, that may not be the case, because these advisors to the Tuimanua saw the Tuimanua as one of the many regions that were under the Tuitonga, and they were loyal to the supreme ruler, the
Mm-hmm.
Tuitonga, which is of higher significance and of higher importance and of higher obligation than the Tuimanua. That's just another way to potentially explain
Yeah.
the behavior of the Loa, which would once again confirm that the Tuimanua was not an empire that established or developed the Tuitonga Empire. So yeah, I think I really appreciate, like you were mentioning, King Afa's comments. Interesting. He has a good way of
Yeah.
presenting the information. He's good at having that presentation, and we appreciate it. And with that being said, we appreciate everyone for this podcast. Till next time, have a good one. So it looks like, let me see if I can get the comments.
Mm.
See right here, right? I don't understand why you two always throw shade at the Tu'imanua and the history of Samoa. Please talk about your Tongan culture and how you two can promote positive vibes in the community, right? And I tried to respond like, we're not throwing shade, but you're pushing the narrative that the Tu'imanua is the origin of the empire, right?
Mm.
And the origin of the
Mm.
Tuitonga. We're just responding
Correct.
to that
Correct.
narrative. But
Correct.
any thoughts, Masio? You want me to keep skimming through?
Yeah, no, just like it's just the whole vibe. Those are the and I think this is the reason why we can't even talk freely and in depth about our history, right? Because people think it's not correct and it's shade and stuff. It's like when you talk about stuff that you people we can't control what people can perceive. It's gonna be shade. For example, people's what people think is being mean or kind is not what other people think that's mean or kind. But
Yeah.
I think those are the kind of comments that you feel like you can probably that's why it's probably that's the kind of comments why we haven't been able to discuss freely about the origin of Polynesia, just in a freely manner that we can all learn and just get to.
Ideas can't compete,
Yes,
right?
and ideas cannot compete and just see which one is more accurate about our history, and that's all it is. But and to
It
me,
would
the reason people and Tua, you know what, Tua, and that's the thing. Maybe people think it's shade, throwing shade. One is because they they don't have too much knowledge about the Polynesian history. Maybe they still think it was still boundary, and we were sectioned off in different parts, and we were just kind of living isolation a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of my thinking too. If people have that kind of idea, because you're gonna
no
have if you
100%.
really think if you really think you have a Polynesian nation, just like Rome was a nation of many other countries, you in order to you talk about the past, how it was an empire. You can think you're gonna be crossing over to different parts of how people do differently, and we all know, and we all say that Hamoa did things a little bit differently. That's why the Tuikan Polo exists, and they pass their titles a lot different than the predecessors of the Tuitonga and the Tui Hatagalawa. And that's the thing, right? It's just because we're doing things differently doesn't mean that we
It's
cannot talk
wrong or
about it.
bad or
It's wrong.
anything, but
Yes,
yeah.
we're just talking about it. But that's the
Yeah,
thing,
no,
right? That's the thing. We in order to really dig in, talk about our history, present ideas, philosophy, the reason why this happened and that reason, and provide evidence of our oral ruins, physical, the structure and the Polynesian
yeah.
essence of how they ran things, and give you that Polynesian eyes view. Um, that's what we're doing. And I think you and I understood too that of course people think we're going to be stepping on their toes when we're not. We're just presenting
Yeah.
ideas and let the best idea and most accurate or more sound argument
No, I mean,
rise
and
to
that's
the
a
top.
pretty weak response, right? Like, imagine if someone came with the Tu'imanua position, expressed their ideas, and then you and I said, "Why you always gotta throw shade on the Tu'itonga?
Mm,
Why?" That's not a way to, like you said, have a conversation.
yeah.
Let's catch up on some of the chats here. Water Bears, Malo
Hey, Water
Toko,
Bears,
welcome.
what's up? What's
Water
up?
Bear says, Sup Tokos, I just finished the Xiaoxi Ilayu series. Interesting stuff. Yes, a lot
Yeah.
of positive feedback on
Mm,
Xiaoxi Ilayu. And specifically, Warabear says when he said that Aho'eitu conquered all four Tutuila, Manono, Manu, and Savai'i. I'm assuming that's Manua. He wanted a daughter of the Tui Manu at the time who was Moa and give him lordship over Ha'amoa,
Mm.
Ka'atoa or A'atoa, right? So that's another interesting
Yeah.
position there from Siausi Ilayu. We also heard other ideas that kind of similar to this is when Tangaloa handed Aho'eitu the that basically made him the heir, the Tu'itonga,
Mhm.
that there wasn't an immediate acceptance of Aho'eitu as the heir, and that there was some effort by Aho'eitu to try and establish himself, maybe through military conquest, maybe through marriages. Um, but yeah, there's different ideas on how that happened. Any thoughts on that, Masi?
Uh, no, no. I'm pretty confident on the the name, the actual. I'm not a because I know there's been ideas saying that Samoa and like it's been weird. They're doing like the Samoa means sacred center in a way that's where Samoa kind of derived from. But I think when when we say like the Moa, it's a Moa clan is the much
Yeah,
more accurate term.
especially
It's
when the flag is Moa, not a
yes,
sacred center.
correct, correct. And I think that yeah, and that's the thing, right? They just I think it's one of the comments we've been getting a lot. Tua, they say, oh, Tonga Tapu cannot be the origin because it's south. So they were south, right? And then they say Tokelau or Toelau on the north. So Samoa is the center. So
Center.
because when you're the center, you're the origin, right? That's some of the arguments I've been
Yeah,
seeing a lot too. But no, that's just not the case that way
yeah.
because
It's not a very
evidence and
strong.
oral. Yeah,
Yeah, correlation does not mean cause and effect,
yeah,
right? Just because it so happens that there's an island named North and an island named South and something in the middle, oh, that must be the origin.
yeah,
That means every capital and every origin must be in the middle, which is not always the case. That's like rarely the case.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we also have another comment here from Samita Langi Ofa Tuango Tangata.
Ooh.
Malo Samita. Thank you.
Samita, happy birthday. I think today's your birthday. I think I saw a post by your wife,
Oy.
Suana. Tama Suana go aho and so talamonua to Samita if that's the
Hey.
case. Ofatu.
Malo Samita. Stopping by on your special day. Happy
Yes.
birthday. So, I mean, and it kind of goes along. We'll come back here. I want to, one of your comments is pretty relevant to it, Masi, because um it says here Samoa as an indie. Oh, well, that's the response that we had. Samoa was independent for most of its history. The only time it wasn't was during the Tongan occupation and
Mm,
European colonization. Other than those times, it was independent. See, this
yeah.
is the kind of stuff we're talking about.
Mm, mm,
And this individual here, I can't remember their name. It's just flags, but we were talking back and forth. Oh, hey, Jason, what's up, man?
What's up, Jason?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Crusaders. Oh,
Crusaders, this brother, the brotherhood right here.
Jason.
Hey,
Jason, watch out.
Jason,
The tomahawk is
my
coming.
co-host here is a Red Raider for life. We pray for him. We pray for him every day.
Crusaders number
Jason,
two. Kahuku
uh,
Tomahawk number one.
he says, "Let's go, let's go." Okay, Malo. So there was a whole discussion on what does it mean to be a nation, right?
Mm,
And basically, this is the challenge. You
yeah.
either believe that Polynesia was a nation or it wasn't,
Yeah.
right? And this kind of comment, it tells me that their position is Polynesia was not a nation and that they were independent nations within Polynesia.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that, Masi?
Yeah. No,
Yay, nay?
that's like I said, and this is I think we kind of touched on it too, but it's good like we keep discussing because we get new viewers and new people keep joining our program, right? Samoa's
Mhm.
even their culture right now, nothing is centralized. Nothing is
Yeah.
centralized. You go to one village to another. I'll give you an example. So when I'm in a village there's one of the village I used to live in. Part of those that village rules is it's called Satubaitea in Savai. Its village rules were if somebody was gonna baptize from one faith to another faith, right? Especially like from a Methodist, it was a strong Methodist. They call it Lokukonga, the Methodist church. If you're gonna get somebody to convert to the LDS faith, part of the rule is that person that was gonna convert to the LDS faith, they had to pay a fine or pay some money, right? And that was just the village
Interesting.
rules, right?
Interesting.
You literally walk to the next village. It could be I think the next one is like Fa'ala, or you go to the other one. It's called Sili, or a next village. They don't have that rule, so you can convert somebody, and then that person didn't have to pay a fine. So what would we do? Sometimes if they had a family member on some other villages and stuff, we say
Go
if
to
you can
the
go and
other
get
village and
baptized.
get
Yes.
baptized there.
So that's what I'm saying to me, and that's how Ha'amoa has been functioning its entire kind of history. And then, so why it's been functioning that? Because we have evidence of the Tu'i Polo there in Tauvahau, and probably the first Tu'i Polo when it came. How did they run their things? It wasn't. It was like a vote of multiple
Yeah. A
chiefs
Matai system.
selecting Matai system, voting who's gonna have the title holder, or not even voting, but whoever would influence the voters
Yeah.
of major families, right, to vote for that person. And that's how Samoa is. One village, whoever how they think and do things, it's totally different than the next village. So to say it was an independent nation, I can't see that, because if it was an independent nation, they would be have one. Who was the ruler of Upolu, right? There was really
Yeah.
nobody. It was multiple leaders,
It's a
because that's
bunch
how
of
some
chiefdoms, a bunch of
chieftains.
chiefdoms operating independently of each other.
Correct. And who was the supreme? You kind of mentioned who was the supreme or prominent chief in all of Polynesia was the Tuitonga, right? The Tuitonga.
Yeah.
We have evidence going living in Savai when the Pule Malay gives us that strong indicator that that's where it kind of he probably spent the most time, maybe during in Ha'amo for 5 generations,
Yeah.
and he came back to Tongatapu. So with our that viewers comment saying that it was always an independent nation until Tonga occupation and being colonized by Europeans. That's probably not accurate, because there's no time in Samoa. Oh, maybe one time, right?
There's
Salamasina.
Salamasina, and then in some of the oral history I've seen, they said that maybe one Tu'imanua for a short
Mm,
period of time
okay.
united united the Western Islands under Manua,
Yes.
but it didn't even last beyond him. It was just like a short period of time.
Yeah. Well,
So
it was.
you know, yeah,
Yeah. Same thing with Salamasina, right? It didn't last beyond her. So right when
beyond
she,
her.
yeah. So other than those two examples, most of Samoa's history, actually, even up to today, has been more really not having really independent, like being known as
Consolidated
Samoa
power. Yeah.
consolidated power. So that's what I view. I don't know if you had anything to add
No,
to
I
that.
agree with that. And that is why, what you explained is why I find it very difficult to believe that that was in a center of the empire, right?
Yeah.
Because of that distributed nature of that power in Ha'amoa. It's very difficult. I mean, that's the whole point. If you were barely able to unite the quote unquote Samoan islands for a short period of time, what makes you think you had islands that were thousands of miles away under your control, right?
Mm,
And so that to me is a challenge. The even the oral history, it says, oh, Samoa Atoa, but when you look at, oh, who are the guys in charge of Samoa Atoa? Oh, the Tui Manua. And then you find out later, a lot of the guys in Upolu and Savai didn't like the Tui Manua many times,
mm,
right?
mm,
And didn't want to be governed by the Tui Manua and actually opposed him. And then there's some oral history that could be driven by, I guess there could have been a migration of Hawaiians
yeah.
down into the western parts of Ha'amoa,
Mm-hmm.
that could have caused maybe the division a little bit.
Mm,
Who knows?
mm,
Um, The other thing too is the archaeological evidence puts a
Yeah.
lot of doubt into the longevity and the ancient nature of the Tu'imanua, right? There's just a
Yeah.
lot of questions across the board. The lack of ruins. Um, it's a very difficult thing to say the identity of what we call Ha'amoa today has been there for thousands of years. There's just there's just no evidence for that we can think of. Even the
Mm.
oral history contradicts that idea.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, that is a challenge. And
Mm.
so the other thing that is kind of tied to that is Tangaloa. Well, first off, let me see if I can find this video. Even within Ha'amoa, we are told conflicting things, right? Because we say from Tonga, Tangaloa was a person, right?
Correct.
And then so we say, hey, Tangaloa wasn't a god, he was a person. And I hear
Hmm.
a lot from Ha'amoa is, oh, there's a Tangaloa family, right? And that's the family. And then when we speak to certain people who've studied that oral history, they say the oral history says that Tangaloa liked a woman in Ha'amoa
Hmm.
and apparently was the wife of someone else. So he gave his title
Mm.
to either the father or the spouse of this woman so that he could marry the woman. So
Mm.
once again, even if we were to believe that story, it is not a blood descendant, it is a
Title.
selling of a title,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
even that story doesn't say that you're the actual Tangaloa. And I came across a video and I hope I saved it because so many people is like, oh, that's in Hamon, we don't believe that Tangaloa is a god. But then I go everywhere online, and guess what they talk about?
People, they talk it as it's a godlike.
Yes, they talk about it like Tangaloa is a god. So it's kind of confusing to me. What did you hear most often when you were in Samoa? Did you guys ever had those kind of discussions as to is Tangaloa a human or a god?
I'm just trying to reflect here if I've had any discussions. Um, Tua, I don't think I've had discussions talking about Tangaloa or
Specifically?
specifically relating to Hamo's history, but yeah, no, nothing that I can remember.
Okay.
But I would just want to go back to the our discussion here, and this is the discussion that I feel like is very important to Tua for the next generation, and even people now to because the this person that commented that Samoa's kind of independent. I know he's many more people who think the same way. So this is the only way to kind of share ideas and
And
give you
talk
our
about it.
reasons. Yeah,
Yeah.
give you our reasons, and then you can if we're wrong, you give your reasons, and then we can just have a debate, and then whatever is more sound, let that be, let that let that be kind of thing. So, but we enjoy the discussions, the interaction, the comments, because that's how we all learn. So yeah.
No, 100%. Okay. So we think it's important. One of the things to discuss and get a good understanding is the first Tuitonga. Who is he? Where did he come from? What's the storyline? And have a kind of discussion on that.
Mm.
So we have a video here that let's do it this way. Maybe we'll try this layout for a little bit,
All right.
Masi, and just remind me to switch back to the bigger one when we talk. But let's
Okay.
let's let's watch this for a little bit and respond to it and just kind of react.
Hey, Tua, I'm not hearing any sound. I don't know if.
Oh yeah, I made it mute. Good thing you said
Yeah,
something.
there we go.
Vai pupua. Ia mea ku te magu eket.
Koe ha.
Malo ke iloi pe ku ofa ya koe.
Iyo.
Pea mo ku whakahoko ngai mea ko tau pe ke talamai ke te au.
Aho'eitu whatongia pia o oku. Ke tauhi koe. Ko ha mea o ke hohaa ki ai, ko ha mea o ke tokanga ki ai.
Ko mawe ai ku eket te mea koe.
Koe ha.
Ko hae ku tamai.
We are the Skaggs family.
Oh,
Matthew
let's
and Cosette. We are
pause that real quick. So, Mike, what do you understand on who is Vaipopua? So, this is Aho'eitu, right?
Mhm.
And his mom
Yep.
having a conversation saying, "Hey, I want to know who my dad is," right? What's kind of your understanding of who is Vaipopua and where is she from?
Yes, my understanding by Popua is from Niwa Toktapu. Is that correct, Tua? I mean, this is
Yeah,
what I'm
from
thinking.
Niwa. Yeah, from the
From
Niwas.
Niwa. From the Niwas. Did they go specifically, or am I just hearing thing Niwa Toktapu to be specific?
It could be Niwa Tapu. I can't think off the top of my head. All I know is she's from the
Niwa,
Niwas. I
yeah.
want to say Niwa Tapu, but I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure.
Yes, and Tangaloa came to Vaipopua and had children. I think because was it only one
The
just
only one
Aho'eitu?
I'm aware of is Aho'eitu, but could have been
Aho'eitu,
more, right?
but yeah, definitely. But Aho'eitu is probably the special one, but probably had a lot more. So and then Aho'eitu becomes the child of Tangaloa and Vaipopua, but like we all know that Tangaloa had many children, and it was the youngest one, I guess, from high-ranking children. And I think he
Yeah.
had four other older brothers. But that's kind of what I know
Yeah.
with Vaipopua. Unless there's something to you want to add.
No,
What do you
no,
think?
that's pretty much what I understand. What I want to contrast now is our Ha'amoa brothers and sisters agree with what you just said, right?
Okay.
Here's the distinction. Our Ha'amoa brothers and sisters in them say Vaipopua goes to Samoa to be with Tangaloa because that's where he's from to have a child, right?
Okay.
The people from Niwa Toptapu say she never went to Ha'amoa.
Mm.
The people in Niwa Toptapu said she went to
Tongatap.
Tongatap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she went there. And why did she go there? Because that's how, remember the Tokatufa practice?
Yes.
The women would go to Tangaloa. Tangaloa doesn't go and travel to all the women. That they come
Yeah.
over to him. And they
Yes.
came to Tongatapu because Vaipopua could have access to land and was given land to live on because Tangaloa was on Tongatapu.
Yeah.
So that's a big divide in the thinking right now, right?
Mm.
Because according to our Ha'amoa brothers and sisters, well, Tangaloa is from Ha'amoa because Langi is in the mountains of
Yes.
Ha'amoa.
A ridge
Right?
or something, a mountain ridge.
Yes. And
And there's
so that's
no mountains in Tongatapu, only in
Tonga.
Manua. Yeah.
Yes. So that's where right off the bat, there's already a divide in the discussion. But once again, when this is some of the reasons why I get a little bit like, I don't want to say frustrated because it's not really frustrated, but I kind of like, it's hard for me to take the Ha'amoa oral history seriously because they don't take the Tongan oral history seriously, right?
Mm.
They'll say, "Oh, well, Tangaloa is from Ha'amoa," but then you talk to the people from Niwa, they say, "No, she never went to Ha'amoa. She went to Tongatapu."
Yeah.
Because that's where she goes. But then we're told, "No, you got to forget about that. Just listen to the story of Tangaloa being from Ha'amoa, but then their oral history says the Tangaloa title or name wasn't from the quote unquote Tangaloa. It was because Tangaloa liked the wife or the daughter of someone and gave a Tangaloa title to someone in exchange for the daughter or the wife.
Mm.
So how is that the Tangaloa bloodline when your oral history says it was in exchange for a wife? It sounds more to me when I hear that story, the Tokatufa tradition, where if Tangaloa said, "I like your daughter," right? And if you want me to have a child with your daughter, then your child will have the Tangaloa
Right.
name, that
Yes.
and the power and the influence, and that would
The
elevate
status.
you and your family.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
that fits that more than saying, "Oh, the actual Tangaloa came down and became a person in Ha'amoa." I don't know. I want to just walk
No,
through it
that's
and
good.
talk through some
Yeah.
of these things,
That's
because
good.
you gotta sit through and talk through it and think it through, and you're like, yeah, I don't think Popua went to Ha'amoa,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Just
Mm.
thoughts there. Anything to add? Any thoughts?
No. I think this is a good discussion because, like what you said, right? If we can't, you're identifying the break off, but if we can't come to a understanding of each other's point of views, we're never gonna get to the origin. And like we always say, they always tell us go to the source. We've gone to the manua, right, and did the
Mm-hmm.
listen to all the oral history. Then we look at the thorough academic studies that was involved with Samoans and non-Samoans, in Manua. And then then they say, then we go ask the people in the Niotop Tapu. They will even say Vaipopua went to Tongatapu to have a child with Tangaloa, which is Aho'eitu, which came. But then for some reasons the Manua or Ha'amoa are saying no, Tangaloa is in Ha'amoa. But we always say go back to what the people are saying. They're even saying that, and and that's right, and that's why we still can't get a consensus on our origin of our history, because we just going we're just kind of going everywhere. But this is a good platform that we're able to discuss, at least
Mm-hmm.
give our argument, and then let that be the judgment of what perspective people will take.
100%. 100% agreed. Let's come back and watch this highly produced Hollywood level
Let's go. Let's go. Let's
epic
go.
video.
Oh, I'm not hearing the sound, Tua.
Oh, sorry. I had to
You're good.
block the sound so that the commercial would go through.
Oh,
Let
good.
me bring it back just a little bit.
Ai e ku tamai, te au kunofo e ku tamai I whei.
Koe ha?
Ko hai e ku tamai,
O koe ke whiunga ta nofo?
kai ko whia 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 ko whemapa ke ulo po ko hai ku tamai.
Like every situation,
Okay, ilo,
with
I hope I
society, with children growing up with a single parent home, Tua, just a
Yeah.
simple thing.
Well, this is why single parent homes is not ideal.
Ah, ah,
This is not the ideal setup.
mm, mm.
ke he whiafi o ku pau. Nā ku ilo te ai ape. O ke ilo ki makehe.
Whee!
O ke ilo o wha I kehe koe. O ku whakaapa I kehe koe kāinga. Koe alo koe o Tangaloa. Ko Tangaloa, koe o tua. Iyo, koe alo koe o Tangaloa. Koe o tua o awhio I he langi. Koe o tua o ne whakatupu e mea koto ape. Koe o tua o ne whoake mea koto ape. Whoake mea kai koto ape.
Hana ke nganga tala mai ki mo.
He nā
See, and this is where things get interesting.
Yes, very
Where
interesting.
did the idea that Tangaloa was a god, where did that idea come from? because it even had a little bit of foothold in Tonga.
Yeah.
Right. That did not come from the Tongan oral history. That came from European perception of
Mm.
where Tangaloa came from, right? When they wrote down the records of
Yeah.
trying to record the oral history, who is Tangaloa? Oh, he's a great chief. He's a great man. Oh, where did he live? Oh, he lived on Langi. And if you
Yeah.
just do a very simple analysis, Langi is heaven or sky, but Langi is also a residence, a place to live.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
so,
No,
yeah,
no, I was gonna say to that right. This is probably the confusion that a lot of people are having, that they were thinking it's a godlike being, but that's what see, and that's the thing, right? People always refer people always refer most powerful people or individuals that have a lot of influence. They,
as a
from a
god.
Western, yes, as a Western society, they always refer them as a god because they control everything that man can do. So that's why our history gets a little tainted, and that's why we're here just to say that it's more of a title. It's a person being has flesh and bones like all of us. The only difference is it had a title that it was passed on within the same family. And that's the thing. Tangaloa is so old that we don't know if maybe, because we understand that the Tuitonga family was always within father and son, and then like the little nuances that there was a generation, we talked about Talatama not having children, right? And then there's the new that became, right? We know those new nuances, but the Tangaloa being so old, we just don't really know too much of those kind of details and stuff.
Details.
Like, if it was always within the same family kind of thing, or if it kind of just moved around a little bit. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's our idea of Tangaloa being a title, and this kind of content can kind of confuse people thinking it was kind of like a god. But I don't know if you had anything else to.
No, I agree. I mean, we want to walk through this and think it through and talk it through. Because in Tongan oral history, Tangaloa was not a god, and we have a specific place that was his residence.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a logic and a pattern that the Tuitongas adopted in all their settlements,
Mm.
right? And this is why the Tuitongas residence was called Langi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, these are all little like evidences that you have to kind of be aware of and track to help you navigate the oral history and help you find the ruins and the physical representation of the history through the settlements and the ruins and the events and the names of the places.
Yeah.
We don't find any of that really in anywhere else in Polynesia, right? And in Ha'amoa, that's not something that we find, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this Tuitonga lived here for how many, and these are the places that they stayed, then they moved here. We don't have a lot of that for the Tuimanua or anything, besides some people saying apparently that there was an empire and that everything originated from them. Well, if it's just a story from your end, then anyone else's story can be just as valid. Okay, let's swing back here.
Aho'eitu te ke viritaki. Kana agostala te ke liaki au.
Kana tempe ki
Na ilo te ke liaki pe kai ke
Ko whimala ke whiroaki pa mo kamai. Ko whimala ke whiroaki pa mo Tangaloa.
Te ke kaka koi ki langi.
See, climb to
Te ke
the
kaka
sky.
ki langi.
Te waro ki
Te
langi.
ke kaka ki langi.
Te kakau ki langi ke waro
Te
whiroaki
ke kaka ki langi.
Hape mea te whai ke waua ke kamai. Ko pau ke whakahoka mea ko ia.
Ko pau ke kaka koi ki langi.
Te kaka. Ko hape mea te whai ke wau ke kamai. Ko pau ke whai mea ko ia.
Ko pau ke kaka ki langi. Te ke kaka he fuutoa. Te ke kaka ki langi. Te ke tok wheloa ke mo Tangaloa.
Kaore wangi. Ke pēka pa te au ke aite ni hanga ilo i kono whohau.
Ko kua whio i koe Tangaloa. O ku talitali mai ke a koe. Ko kou ilo whakapapau. Ke taimi te ke mātai ki ai. Te ke ilo pe koe. Tangaloa ai.
Ko pa pe ke wau tu ka mai.
You go, Aho'eitu. You go, buddy. You climb that toa tree.
Shh, Mari.
O e tangi popua. Mau e sia nake kaka. Hey.
Alo ai pe mai ki ka hoa.
Eh.
Mari.
Look at Futoai. That's the
Oh,
toa
yeah.
tree he's gonna climb. Any comments, any thoughts on anything here, Miss?
Now that I'm looking properly, this thing was created by that Coconut TV. I've seen some of their stuff. I haven't been a fan of some of their that Coconut TV
Their production.
for their production, and not only that, they put like articles too that don't make sense. It's a very palangi viewed, and that's why I'm not surprised that they made this because they take the palangi viewed that most most people think that is accurate. So it's just so funny that he's climbing a toa tree to try to
To
get
heaven.
to Langi, try to get to Langi to meet Ta'aloa. But we all know that, right? Getting to Langi is the resident. Toa is the definition of you're kind of climbing up to Alangi because Alangi is elevated above the ground, and the toa is kind of where you kind of enter through the lagoon. I think that's what Fale kind of explained, and that's called a
Yes.
toa. So toa, that's what it means. It's not the toa tree you climb up. Come on, it's just so funny. But but it's
Yeah.
just it's a toa. It's like a little tickle. Just makes me a little tickle
Yes. So yeah,
when I
and this
see
is
this.
I think we don't have I think we covered the most important parts for that video.
Thank you very much. Remember to ask the hard question and ask the curious question, I believe, to us. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And until the next episode of the Polynesian Eyes podcast, take care, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.